Sonia Williams, welcome to my podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This is so weird. Obviously, it's a privilege to have you here because you're an inspirational New Zealand businesswoman. You know, the founder and CEO of Sharesies, which is massive, but also your family.
It's true, we're cousins. And I am co-founder and co-CEO, so work with other great people too, but that's cool.
Yeah, for sure. I know that. We'll get into the whole... Yeah. Actually, I put on Instagram that you were coming and I said you're from Sharesies and does anyone have any questions? And I suppose this is the problem with assumption. I assumed Sharesies was... almost like a Netflix now in New Zealand, where the brand recognition is so high that everyone would know what I'm talking about. But a couple of people said, can you get her to explain Sharesies, like what it is?
Wow.
So maybe we'll start with that and we'll get to the Sharesies stuff later. But before that, we'll go back to young Sonia,
Yeah,
my little cousin. So
when you said that, I was like, I wonder what people have said. But no, that's nice.
Yeah, no, but so like 10% of the population or something are on Sharesies?
Yeah, we've got about 700,000 investors on Sharesies. And so what it is we call ourselves a wealth app, but it's where you can invest in different investment options. But really, we're trying to remove the barriers that stand in the way of people really thinking about their wealth and building their wealth. So on the invest side, you can invest in a range of investments with no minimum, and we give you support and education to help you build your portfolio.
It's not the first time you've done that spiel, is it?
Did it sound good?
It sounded like an elevator pitch. No, it's just what you've done is just game changing. Like I know the phrase game changing gets thrown around a lot, but we're families, we're from similar backgrounds, but my dad was always an investor. Like Dad was always sort of anti-property and into shares. Even after the 1987 share crash, he was right into it. But I never invested in shares until Sharesies came along because it just seemed like too hard basket. You needed to find a broker. You couldn't buy a portion of a share like you can do now. Like, you know, if you want to buy a share in like Berkshire Hathaway or Nvidia or something, it's, I don't know, $1,000, say. And now with Sharesies, you can just put a couple of bucks in and buy a portion of a share. It's mind-blowing what you've done.
Well, thanks. And it's true. It's like you kind of just start one day at a time, but it's really, what you said there around not knowing how, not being exposed to it. Like that's the same for me. I didn't really know anyone that invested in shares. My family didn't. So when you said your dad did, it's like even that's really cool exposure too. And when we did our research after we kind of started the business, it was like maybe 20% of Kiwis had shares, and of that you were most likely male, over 60 and living in Auckland. But for everyone else, like I was definitely raised in like a family that was like anything about investing was about, getting on the property ladder. That was a lot of the advice I was given.
Let me guess, worst house, best street.
Yeah, that's it, worst house, best street.
That old chestnut.
Yeah, but it's that thing of wanting to get ahead, but then realising that the advice didn't suit today, we started Sharesies 7 years ago, and it was that time of, it was the smashed avocado time. I feel like everyone took, notes.
Oh yeah, boomers versus millennials.
That's what the headlines were all about. And but I had recently started working in a bank after working in technology companies. And I was learning so much about personal finance and things like that from just my colleagues' general conversation that they were having. So I started getting interested in investing, messaged a few places. I'd gotten shares actually I used to work at Xero, and they gave all their teams shares as part of their package. But I didn't really know what that was or what that meant, or it didn't really clock me as something that I was getting given or paid for, that type of thing. But I did started messaging some places to try and invest, and I call it like anti-marketing, where you can tell they almost like don't want you as their customer because you're like, you either don't have enough money.
Fry.
Yeah, you're small fry. So like it's like if I asked my mum when dinner was ready when I was growing up, she'd be like, I'll just run around the house a few times. It just felt like you're getting told to just be busy over there and then try and forget about the fact that you wanted to invest in the first place. And so from that, and then I guess it being the environment where people were looking for a way to get ahead, And then being from a technology background, it was like, imagine if we could just invest small amounts of money online in a really fun way, almost like online shopping. Like everything you get access to has fundamentally changed because of where technology is. I remember, and this isn't even that long ago, like, but say me and my boyfriend wanted to go to the movies, we used to drive to all the movies to just see what time a movie was on because we didn't have smartphones. Whereas now you just look it up and there's so much efficiency that kind of comes. We fundamentally live life differently now. Some things are good about that, some things aren't. But yeah, so it's like there was actually no reason why it couldn't be more accessible or better. There's some of the barriers that stood in the way for people. So then after having that kind of idea, started talking to some friends and colleagues, and that's when through a bunch of different connections ended up in a team with six of us from all a different range of backgrounds who were all really committed to try and solve this problem, which is how do we get more people feeling empowered about their money and building their long term and giving access.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal story. By the way, I'm so fucking proud of you.
Oh, thanks.
Like, it's just incredible, and the fact that like the name, I know you were quick to point out it wasn't you and you alone, but the name was your idea, and the seed of the idea was yours. And you've gone and done it. You've done it. It's amazing.
And still doing it. Like there's still.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I feel like you've yeah. So
For
say
us, it still feels like really early days.
say it's a mountain. See, I feel like you've clocked it. You're at the top of the mountain. Where would you
Yeah.
say you are? Like base camp or?
Yeah, I'd say we're in the beginning for sure. Because like the mission, and like it's probably an intergenerational one. Like ours is to create financial empowerment for everyone.
Yeah.
And when you actually think about that, and there's so much complexity to it, and you solve it in one aspect, but then you just see the more opportunities to keep kind of working at that same problem. But I think it's one that'll keep us noodling for ages.
Okay, there's so much to pick around it with the entrepreneurial stuff. Yeah, first of all, let's go all the way back. So, what's our age gap? It's like 20 years. What are you, 30?
I think I'm maybe 36.
36.
I don't
Okay,
know.
so it's like, so 15 years.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, because we're from a massive family. So your dad and my mum are siblings, and they're two of 14. It's a
Yes.
massive family.
And then on my mum's side, my mum's one of 11.
Oh my God.
So I'm like-
I don't think I knew that.
I'm like, it's just huge. Just got cousins.
Yeah, and Auntie Jenny.
Yeah. And they're all from the Horowhenua.
Yeah. So what did your mum do when we were growing up? Was she worked in like an accounting firm, a bank? No, a bank.
My mum, she was a stay-at-home mum for years. And
Yeah.
then when I was a kid, she started working at a finance company.
Okay,
And she probably would have been doing that. And she did work at a bank, actually, yeah, when she was, she worked at a bank. All
And
my
you-
aunties worked, all the aunties on my mum's side worked in the
Yeah,
bank
I suppose the
at
reason I
that
asked
point
that
in
is
my
because
life.
I'm trying to figure out where this entrepreneurial spirit came from. So your dad, Uncle Greg, one of my faves, what did he do? I was trying to think about this yesterday. Did he make canvas
Yeah.
horse blankets?
Yeah, he had a canvas business.
Right.
Yeah.
So he was a sort of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like it was a home business, but no sort of aspirations to scale up or anything. Just to
Yeah, he had his own business.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, it was in canvas manufacturing. He did a bunch of stuff. Lots of wicked projects. I remember once, just anything out of canvas, really. Like some cool shade sales. Always talking to someone before I came here where it was like your school holidays, just like driving around and to go visit different jobs. Now there's a lot of pressure to entertain.
yeah.
Just used to go on drives.
So you're so you're the baby of the family.
Yeah.
So there's Paul,
Yeah.
Anna, Paul, James, and you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So were you unplanned? I feel like there's a big gap between.
I don't know. I haven't asked.
It's a conversation for
Because,
another day.
but it is like the common thing that we get asked when we say we're siblings is like, same mum, same dad, because there is quite a big age difference between like my older two siblings and then me and my younger brother, or my older younger brother.
Yeah, I think growing up I was definitely closer to like Paul and Anna due
Yeah,
to the
totally.
proximity and age and stuff. But I always remember you being like just the cutest little kid.
Cool. That's cool.
And I used to, when I started working and got my first car, I'd drive down to see your dad and had changed my oil and my oil filter. He's a great man.
He was definitely very handy.
Yeah.
And like one of those people that just solves, it's like however the problem gets solved, there's just a way of doing it. Like it seemed like no matter what it was. Like I remember once I locked my keys and I had to go to let a Sky person in at one of my colleagues' house. This was like one of my first jobs. And I pulled up and I pulled up behind the Sky person and then locked the keys in my car by accident, and they were just jammed in the driveway. I was like, what am I going to do? And the Sky person's like calling all the customers afterwards, cancelling it all. But Dad just came down and opened the car.
So resourceful.
Yeah, it's so resourceful.
Yeah. How is your dad? Because he had, because as I said, 14 brothers and sisters in the family. And I'm not sure who in the family is going to listen to this podcast, but Uncle Greg...
Maybe your mum. Will your mum listen?
Yeah, mum will definitely listen. She's so supportive. She listens to all of them. But I'd say Uncle Greg's probably my favourite out of all the uncles.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And he had what did he have, like a stroke or a brain aneurysm?
Yeah, he had a brain aneurysm and a stroke,
Right.
actually. Yeah, when I was younger.
When was that?
I think
early 2000s?
Yeah, early 2000s. I would have been 16, I think.
Right. Yeah, how was that? What are your recollections of that?
Definitely, that's quite a... I sometimes, yes, I was part of it. Like, it did happen to him, and he is still around, which is so great because lots of people don't survive that combination or like a brain hemorrhage or a stroke as well. So, but it was hugely life-changing for, at 16, being like, having such a big change happen, especially such a health issue, because you got kind of pottering along and then you can just see how quickly things can change. Yeah, so it was quite big.
Yeah, because I was an adult at the time, I was getting on with my own life. So Mum's like, oh, Uncle Greg's had this thing and he's in hospital, and I'd see him every couple of years or whatever. And he was still the same person, but he wasn't the same person in a lot of ways. Like he needed he'd get tired easily, needed a nap every couple of hours, and just his personality sort of dulled a little bit. So I just wondered what it was like when it's your dad and you're there.
Yeah, I definitely he, I feel like I got lots of love for all my family, and but he taught me so much around like always so witty and for people who have brain injuries, that stuff can, you're just not as, that stuff can be harder, and he does have ongoing things after the injury, so he's quite different. But I think you just have to, or for me anyway, I just saw it as like a different person. You just get to know the new person.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, it felt like that was a change at the time, for sure. Yeah.
Still a bloody great person and a wicked sense of humour as well.
Still very funny.
Yeah, absolutely. So you, not long after that, you left school and you didn't go to university straight away. You started working. What were your aspirations then? Because Levin's one of those places that'd be very easy to get a job and then sort of fall into the Levin cycle and never leave.
Yeah.
It'd be very easy to do that. What did you do out of school?
Out of school, so I think it probably, not, that's quite a big change to happen, like when you're 16. I think I did lose a lot of motivation or just understanding my place. What was it all about? Maybe that's a big question at 16. But I definitely know that I lost a lot of motivation around school and didn't see that as being, just didn't have much of an education pathway, which I think for people who know me now, I'm like one of the biggest nerds and like study so hard, do lots of research, always reading. So to think that I wasn't good at school, I didn't get university entrance because I stopped going to school. One of my, I played lawn bowls through high school, and my bowls coach said, like, please just keep doing the work, just keep getting the credits. And we arranged it so like I could get my schoolwork. I didn't have to show up to the classes. I could do my schoolwork and do the credits, but I still was like maybe a few short at the end of that process. But I think I remember him really saying, like, just keep your doors open, you got to keep your doors open for wanting to go to uni or anything like that. I think I remember always wanting my own business. I didn't know what that was. And I definitely didn't feel the pull of uni. like there was a little bit of FOMO because my friends were so like they felt like they really knew what they wanted to do, and but it seemed maybe more that was around going to a university somewhere. But like
just go somewhere and get a BA or
yeah,
a BBS.
yeah, like it was more about the experience
Sure.
of university. Whereas I probably didn't have that. Like I liked living. Yeah, there's things about it that I didn't really like, but I did like it. I went and so after high school wrapped up, I spent some time on one of my uncle's farms in the Taranaki doing some milking for a bit, and then my mum was like, "Oh, there's a job going at the law firm here," and so I applied for that. And I think in my memory, she like made me wear her suit to the interview, which was just like I think about this.
What were you thinking at the time? Just okay, this is.
I didn't know.
You didn't protest?
I thought this was being a grown up. You know, it's like
Adulting 101.
And I remember it feeling like that analogy comes back to me all the time when it's like when you feel like something doesn't feel you. You're like, no, how can you make this you? You know, you don't want it, because I always think like everyone else would have seen that.
Oh my God.
Like 18-year-old looks ridiculous. But I got the job. And so I worked at a law firm in Levin for a few years, and then I did some travel overseas and decided like I wanted to go overseas. And my sister, Anna, she'd done an accounting degree and was living overseas at the time. And I remember thinking, if I want to go overseas, I should go get this degree and then I can go live overseas. So that was really the catalyst for going to uni. But I mean, I worked at a call centre before that in Wellington, worked as a debt collector for a bit in a call centre, did a bunch of different like call centre type jobs.
But so deep down you had this sort of drive and ambition, but you just weren't ready to sort of like
I didn't really know what it was. Yeah. But I definitely remember wanting, you know, when I thought of myself, I really wanted my own business. Maybe it's like an issue with authority or something.
What?
Which I think is genetic, but.
Yeah, that's definitely a Williams trait. So why an accountancy degree? Is that just because Anna did that?
I
your
think
sister?
so.
Right.
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
Yeah, people influence people.
Because it would make sense that but if you knew like deep down in your soul that you were destined to have a business, you'd think you'd get a business degree or.
Oh, accounting's great. You definitely need accounting to run any business, but I probably wasn't thinking like that at the time.
Yeah.
I did some marketing papers as well, but again, I reckon it's just naivety around like if you told me when I was 16 that I would end up in a tech company, or have a career in technology, I just would not have believed it. Largely because, you know, I didn't really know those subjects existed. Like I was far more interested. I wasn't one of those people that like got really interested in computers and how to pull them apart. And it was more like MSN Messenger or the communication aspects of technology that really grasped me, if anything. Like,
Yeah.
But I reckon it comes down to like if you studied science, in my worldview at that time, I probably thought you would have been able to become a science teacher. I think it was just a naive. I didn't know what I didn't see, you know, and I wasn't really exposed to much of that type of thinking or broader stuff.
You know, I wonder if part of that is like coming from a small town, you're just not necessarily aware of the bigger options, or you just don't allow yourself to think as big as what you should.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Well, you just don't know, right? You know
Yeah.
your own worldview. I remember someone using this analogy of like goldfish under the water, but if someone came and they're all happy thinking they're under the water and that's the world they know, but then one day someone picks up the goldfish and they can see around above the water and then you get put back down. There's no way you're just going to go chill and be a goldfish under the water. You're going to be like, what did I
What
see?
else is out there?
What did I just see? I thought this was everything, but there's
Yeah.
this, you know? So I do think anytime, like now, I think like how important a spark is, like just to see something or to be exposed in something. That's a catalyst for so much. And sometimes you might be like, oh, yeah, doesn't clock it. But you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what's going to like really inspire you like that.
Yeah, like Sharesies is your first business venture, and it's been, it's been wildly successful. It's not like you're one of these entrepreneurs that, had a crack at 100 different things before cracking it. Like, it's amazing. You're one from one.
I did work in a lot of other businesses.
Yeah, I know. I'm downplaying what led you up to that point.
I know what you mean, but like, yeah, true. I haven't really thought about it like that. But
yeah. Oh no, it's crazy. That's not an insult, by the way. That's a massive, massive compliment. Like you're the architect of this incredible brand. That's just been a game changer, and it's it's something to be celebrated. I suppose you're so busy you don't stop to think about how cool you are.
I do think that there's these real kind of cool and like cool moments where you're like, this is great, because it's what when we first started, lots of it was like it's lots of culture change. You're just helping people see life a little differently. Like, there was just this stereotype that Kiwis were bad at saving and investing. And the thing with stereotypes is you start to believe them yourself, and you start to go, I'm bad at saving. People aren't inherently bad at stuff. You just, they might not have had the right environment or the right spark or whatever that got them interested in it. So the worst is when you start believing the thing yourself, like what people are telling you are. And like, I just love it when, like, there's been a few times when, like, say my nieces and nephews or random people, tell me about how they invest and how they think about it now. And I remember a woman, when I was in Levin actually, that a woman said she, as a grandmother, takes her granddaughter out and they go out for coffee, or go out for like a hot chocolate or whatever, once a week and talk about their shares. And you go, that's just so cool, because I would never have imagined that. And I reckon that those are the stories that I'm like, yes, that's really cool.
It's really powerful. And another one of your cousins, my sister Charlotte, all of her kids are into it as well.
Oh,
so
great.
Sid, her son, who loves the NBA, like, he's got shares in Nike and gets very disillusioned that his, $10 investment only goes up to like $14 up. But, it's just a really, I think, healthy conversation to be having, because New Zealanders, we're kind of shy and awkward people anyway, and when it comes to money, it's like just another layer of complexness of something that we were just weird about.
It's true. And then you don't hear, like, I used to hear the market updates on the radio, probably, did they do it on 92.2 FM, which was the radio station of my childhood. They just read out a bunch of numbers and you go, like, there's no spark in that. For me anyway, I'm like, I would have had to been following that story for those numbers to make sense. But say I'm like trying to get in on that story, like the double Dutch, waiting for when you can kind of get in and start jumping. It's like, it was actually the stuff that goes on behind those numbers is what's interesting. And it's like people, you think of it, like I wouldn't have ever, you see a house and you go, yeah, cool, that's a house. But, we go to work every day. People are going to work every day. I flew to Auckland today on an Air New Zealand plane. Like, these things are all really tangible and part of our everyday. So when you see the numbers going up and down around these companies, it's like, so there's so much more story behind it, which helps it make it feel a bit more tangible. So I loved, like, I think those stories are really interesting, and I really love the curiosity that piques.
Yeah, you're so right. That's a really good analogy. It's almost like being at a party and there's like a circle of people talking and you're trying to get into that circle and you just can't. Because, on TV news, they used to talk about the footsie all the time. I didn't even know what the footsie is. I still don't know.
There's so many bits of jargon and analogies and things like that. So, it's just helpful to be like, actually, you can still talk like you know what you're doing, but it can also be heard from everyone. And it's just about like breaking down different things. But, that's why it's like, even as someone, like, I wouldn't say I was super into finance or money or things like that, but it is really interesting to me, the stories and all that part of it, and I think helping people get involved in that. And it's also really interesting to me what change it can make in people's lives when they feel really in control of their money, and because it's a lot to do with choices and living the life that you want to live and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. All right, well, we will get to the Sharesies stuff.
Yeah.
So first of all, congratulations. You're a mum now. You became a mum in November 2022 to baby Meadow.
Yeah.
So what's my role there? What am I? Does that, I'm not an uncle, eh? No.
No, what are
like
you?
a second cousin.
Well,
Is it a
because my
second
family's
cousin?
so big, we just do like cousins, or like it's just
I
an
don't know.
extension of like our relationship.
But I'm so much older than you. I feel like I should be an uncle.
Do you want to be an uncle? You can be an uncle. You can be an uncle.
How's that working out for you? You
Yeah,
and
good.
your
I
partner,
mean,
Ben?
it's such a huge change, eh? Like, I think, like, what do I want to say about that? Like, love having a daughter, and she's such a joy. Like, she is really amazing, and she's changed our lives in so many ways. And it's also like a really humbling experience. I grew up in Levin, where there's a huge high teenage pregnancy rate. So, like, you kind of grow up and your whole life you're like trying not to get pregnant.
I agree. I was talking to a mate about this the other day. It was like, when you're 16, 17, 18, it's like you think it's going to be the easiest thing. Like,
Yeah.
you think just like almost eye contact with someone and you're going to get them pregnant. And then when you become an adult, you
It's
realise it's
true.
actually way more complex than that.
It is so true. So we did have a bit of a journey to getting our daughter, and like part of it is like what that, and so now feel on the other side of that, like so grateful to have her in our lives. And I think like what that experience has shown to me is like just how amazing every moment that it takes someone to end up and have a baby, like how many complex steps there are involved in that whole process, but how the default is that that goes well. Like it's just pure magic, really. Like, I mean, if there's scientists listening, they're like, well, it's science, but like,
Did you guys need IVF?
we did end up getting
fertility
some
treat.
support. Yeah. But yeah, and I won't dig into that too much, but I think like for anyone where there's, I know there was lots of times when I'd listen to stories and be like, well, I'd want to be as a mum, and so I always make sure I like share that that can be hard and acknowledge that there's space there. And I've shared that there's the stories that really helped me through that and helped to see that there is a space for like when it's hard, because there can be times when it is, really hard. And I know, you ask people, do you want to have kids? And lots of people are like, oh yeah, when this timing. But I think it just like opened my eyes that it's really not always up to you.
Yeah.
And I think like family is really important, and like we're from a huge family, right? Like I remember it was a running joke for some of my friends. Like we'd just be walking down the street, they're like, "Is that your cousin? Is that your cousin?" And I'm like, "I think so." Like I don't know all of them,
Yeah.
We have varying different relationships, but we've always really been brought up to value family and being part of something. So I am really stoked that I get to extend that within our little family unit as well. Like it feels like a real privilege to me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad you had success with that as someone that's been on that fertility treadmill as well. And you hear the statistics, and then JJ and I, when we were together, we had numerous rounds of IVF. I've sort of like blocked that corner of my mind out now, but with each fail, well, you almost get like a gambler's mentality where you think this has got to be the time. Like odds would suggest, but it didn't work out for us. But I'm so pleased it worked out for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Meanwhile, going through all this, you're running this $500 million company as well. It's a lot to take on. It's heaps.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say about that.
No,
but, I mean,
it wasn't really a question. I
No,
guess.
but I get what you're saying. Like there is, it can. There's a lot to juggle in there, that's for sure. And but like anything, then there's times definitely where I'm like, what, you can't do it all. And the thing I like to tell myself now is like, when you have to make it's awesome to have choice and to choose things in your life. Like I choose to go to a job that I love and to work with great people and to build something that I think is really special. Like I'm so stoked that my job gives me that and that I'm able to do that. And then I also get to choose to like spend time with my family and make sure that's a really big part of my life, because that's something like really grounding to me. And then whenever it feels hard or the choices feel like, and I'm starting to get like negative on the choices, like I'm like, God, I've got to be in 100 places at once. I like just remind myself that like every time you have to make a choice, that's like how you show up. It's like every decision you make is asserting yourself in the world, because you can try and do it all, but it's when it's really hard and you're having to make trade-offs. You're like, well, who do I want to be? You know, and it's like sometimes you have to say no to stuff. But I always think like that's you. When you're doing that and you're having to say no, you're just showing up as who you are and you're making like a values choice, or you're and I find that like is quite a empowering way to think about it.
Cool. Why didn't you say no to the conference today? You just came from a conference and you told, I can't even remember what it was, but to me it sounded like the world's most boring. You're on a panel? What's it for?
I was on a panel. It was the financial services conference, and I was on a panel about...
you and I have very different lives.
And again, one of those ones that probably if I thought, hey, would I be on that? You know, these are rooms that I think when we first started Sharesies, and even now I get where it's like when you create something from the outside, sometimes like I never saw myself in that industry, but we are in it, and we're in it, and we're changing it, and we're part of it, and we're partnering with people in it, and they're actually, you know, like it's so I actually really like being in those rooms now, and because I think it's really interesting, and people are all trying to do good stuff around helping shape financial services for Aotearoa and make a real difference for people. And then I like being in those rooms because sometimes we share a different perspective, and I think we're so close to our customers, and we're so close to like how things might play out for people, that I think like there would have been a time when I wanted nothing more than for people in those rooms to have heard that voice. So it's like it's also a real privilege to be in that, representing our customers and our team. So,
do you still suffer imposter syndrome at all, or not really?
I definitely suffer from like confidence issues. I try not to use imposter syndrome. I don't know why, but it's like I attach to words. You know, it's like if you tell yourself something enough, you'll believe it. But it's like, so I like to say like that I might be having a bit of a low confidence or something that day, and definitely. Because it's like exam mentality when you're like public speaking or something. You kind of go straight to what's the question they're going to ask that I don't know the answer to. But but most of the time people just want, you know, especially in those settings, like people want really good conversation. They're not going to ask you the thing that you have like a really shit answer about. You know, they're going to ask.
Oh no, but I just wonder because these rooms that you're going into, you've got the chops. Like you deserve to be there. Like you've proved yourself. But I just wonder if there's times where, I don't know. I think all of us have those moments where you go back to being a kid again. So you're just like little Sonia from Levin, and you know, But no, you definitely do deserve to be in these places.
There's a real.
Where did that reframing thing come from? You know, you talked about not calling it imposter syndrome, and is that from like a podcast or a book or?
Yeah, I think that I definitely picked it up from somewhere. It could have been. I've got like an amazing network of women that I catch up with on a regular basis, and it could have come from there. I think one of them might have shared it there, or it could have come from a podcast. But I remember, I think there was an article actually about it, which we all read, that was just around like changing that, and because it's not, you know, that's often something that's said, oh, it's your problem, but like confidence is one thing, and then like I do think that when you hold a space, or you're that you should think about how people belong in that space, and how do you create a sense of comfort. Like this room is very comfortable. So you've created that.
Yeah, it's the Akoya candle and the
It smells delightful.
So, what's the biggest surprise about being a mum so far? You think?
Oh,
having a baby.
Biggest surprise. Definitely like the change in everything. Like I felt like I wasn't, you know, I'd been around people who had had kids before, and but I just wasn't aware like how fundamentally it would change your life, and you're in a new life. And I think there is this thing around like I did have on, you know, it's the confidence. It's like I went from being at a job where I go every day feeling like I really had gotten, like I knew how to operate there, and then to be completely responsible for someone and something in a job that you've never done before, actually.
It's just like a comfort zone being a CEO.
I know. And I remember someone said to me like, oh, you'll find it real easy. And then I didn't. I found it really hard. And I was like, oh, but everyone finds this easy. And it turns out no one finds it easy. But again, I was like, why aren't I finding this easy? Everyone said they find it easy or that I'd find it easy. But I did find aspects of it really difficult. As it changes your relationship and, it just changes so much, who you are in the world. And I think, coming back to the identity thing, I was still, maybe because it had taken, I'd almost tried to make being a mum not something that I attached to. So then when I was a mum and I had to be a mum, maybe, bringing the imposter syndrome, even though I said I reframed that, it's kind of going having the confidence to claim that and be like, I am. I think for a while, it took me a while to go, yeah, I'm a mum now.
Yeah. Awesome. You are. And are you enjoying that role?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Are you good at it?
I hope so. I try really hard. I do try hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're back at work now.
But we've got lots of great support.
Yeah. Well, there's that saying, it takes a village, right?
Yeah.
So your partner Ben, is he taking care of the home duties, or do you have
Yeah. He's largely doing that, and we also get some support a few days a week as well, which is helpful.
Yes. How did you guys meet?
We met through work, but he's also from Live-In. Well, he's from Waitarere Beach.
Oh, actually?
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So he knows our other uncle and auntie that live out there.
Right. Well, Tim and we had Tim and Deb, Robin and John.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's from there.
Yeah, our family, for anyone listening, our family owns the Hora Whenua. There's Williams everywhere. Some of them have different names, but we're all over the place. Wow, literally nobody's from Waitarere Beach.
I know.
Your brother was living there for a while, though, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, and my mum was there. Yeah.
Amazing. Did you know each other? Were you like childhood sweethearts? No.
I think he knew one of our cousins, or a few of our cousins from the beach. But he was a little bit older than me, so we didn't cross over at school or anything. But we met when I was studying, and this is probably the job that changed my career, was I got just an assistant job or associate job, like an office job at a web design company. He was working there, and we met through there because I worked part-time there while I was at uni.
Because he's like a designer, an artist.
Yeah.
Did he come up with the pineapple?
He came up with fruit.
The fruit.
The fruit, and then it evolved into the pineapple.
Yeah, pineapple, the Sharesies logo. All right, let's get into some Sharesies stuff, eh?
Okay.
One last one before we move on to that. What do you think was harder, first year of business or first year of parenting?
First year of parenting.
Really?
Yeah.
In what way? I would have the side of the business that you were doing, the magnitude of that, and we'll get to all this. There were so many hurdles and so many obstacles to overcome. Parenting, surely you know those obstacles are going to come. You know you're going to be, awake through the night, and
Yeah.
It's just hard.
I don't know. Yeah, I just found it really hard, and it is hard, and hard in different ways, I guess. I reckon, you can think and work through any problem. Maybe that applies to being a mum as well, but I found that first year of business really exciting. Yeah.
Thanks for that. It's refreshingly honest. Yeah. No. It's cool. It's interesting. It's
It's just hard for different reasons.
Yeah. But a lot of people probably wouldn't want to admit that. You know how you were saying. No, you know how you were saying before. Everyone said, "Oh, it's easy. You'll be a natural or whatever." And I think, a lot of women who are lucky enough to become mums probably feel really bummed out because they're like, "Oh, everyone said it was going to be this, and it's not."
Yeah.
And I suppose everyone's journey on that front is different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I found this photo, and they say a picture paints 1,000 words.
Yeah.
What is that?
What is that? That is our founding team. Yep. People who probably at this point would maybe been working together for 2 or 3 months. And now they're probably some of the most important relationships I've got in my life.
Does the guy turn it around so I can see it? It's the guy second to right. Does he still wear Mozimo hoodies?
I think he does. He probably looks exactly the same, Martin.
Yeah.
He probably still wears. Yeah, he's wearing shorts I don't think I've ever, like, I've probably seen him in pants like 3 times.
So is that like one of the original Sharesies like promo shots or whatever you want to call it?
Like, I think this was for a media story. Someone came and took this. Like, maybe it's for like the Dom Post or something.
Yeah. I found it on an old Stuff article.
Yeah, that could be it.
Yeah.
And they just said, oh, come and stand in this alleyway and look, you know, like you're doing something special, which we were. But probably didn't know at that point how big it was going to become. I think we were always really ambitious.
But there was no way you would have. I mean, everyone that has a startup has ambitions, right? But there's no. It must have by now today, like it must have exceeded expectations back then, surely. Well, no.
I think yes, in some ways, and no in others. Like it. I mean, I'm definitely stoked with where it's at, and like it's great because lots of people, as you say, have ideas. They have all the things, but it's like it all needs to come together to become what it is. But I think, you know, it's like this group of people are like so smart. And you kind of go like at this time when we were like raising money for Sharesies and trying to get people to believe in that ambition or that aspiration that we have. Like lots of people had problems with it being 6 of us. And they're like, well, because most businesses fall apart because there's relationship issues, you know, and stuff like that. But I think like maybe that's the difference between like being a team from day one, where I think partnerships can break down because there can be like my way, your way, blah, blah, blah. And I only know it this way, you know, for example, but it's like the way that this team operates, like we got to set in place real teamwork principles. Like we did our values of how we wanted to work together. We spent time doing that stuff of like what we were building. So I have so much respect for all of these people, like some of the smartest, most ambitious, and like now we've been through so much together, like ups and downs, and like people used to say, like Leighton always tells a story, like people used to say, you know, for us it was like whack-a-mole, like you can't, something bad might happen, but it's very rare to get all of us down at once.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that's the thing with business. If you got 2 people, someone might go, "Oh, it's just too hard," and then the whole thing could end up falling over. But with 6,
and like we might come back and be like, "Oh, that was so tough," and then people who weren't at that meeting being like, "Oh, but something good happened over here," you know, and just people see the joy in different things, and people see the easy in different things and the hard in different things, and it just so happens like. You know, it wasn't like planned hard out how we all came together.
Okay. Yeah. Let's get into that story. So, so you and your partner Ben, you're going out for dinner. And this was the smashed Avo era.
Yeah.
And you worked out dinner was going to cost $50, and you were like, "Oh, only there's something we could do with the $50." And that's sort of how the idea of Sharesies came about.
Yeah, that was the info,
and you came up with the name Sharesies. Mm-hmm. But see, a lot of people have a good idea, but then you realise just the work that's going to go into it, or the problems you're going to encounter going into it. So how do you go from having this idea, which is a great idea, to actually making it happen?
Yeah.
What happens next?
And then, someone made a joke. It's like, do the most so you can do the least. It's like, oh, it's so hard to invest. Oh, why don't you just make this company with these? It's like, on the one hand, yes, that does seem, but it's like, I'm going to have to go to work anyway. So it's like, might as well work on something really interesting.
Yeah. So who's Brooke?
Brooke, she is here, and she's one of the 3 O's and co-founders as well. How it all came about was I told Ben about the idea, and he said he encouraged me to talk to more people about it. And
why? Just to make sure it was a good idea?
Just I think no, it was like because it's just like the different set of skills. And I then got introduced to someone at Leighton, and I worked on projects together at Kiwibank. And someone said, "Oh, Leighton knows about investing. You should chat to him." And we were already working on stuff together. So I said, "Oh, can I talk to you about investing?" And he'd had a club. He started an investing club when he was 18, I think, with like 13 of his friends and family, where they all put away $50 a week. And they started investing in different things.
I heard this, like herds of cattle.
Yeah, he's from Hawera, so it was like the first investment very similar to Lynn, where it's like very typical to invest in a cow or cows.
Invest in what you know.
Yeah. And that's kind of grown over time. And then I think simultaneously, him and Brooke, who are now married, but at the time they were dating, more serious than dating probably, in a serious relationship. And Brooke, I had heard about Brooke in that she had built her career at Kiwibank and then went to Xero, and I'd almost done the opposite, built my career at Xero and then went to Kiwibank. And so everyone was like, oh, you know Brooke, but I didn't know Brooke. and they were like, oh, you guys would get along. I can't believe you don't know each other. And then we'd met maybe a few times, and Leighton said, I reckon Brooke would love to work on this too. And she's amazing. They, like, as I said, everyone else, I'm pretty gushy now, but then Martin and Leighton were in a brass band together, and Richard and Martin were in a tech consultancy together. And so Leighton, said, I think they always wanted to do something. They always wanted to build a business. And so there was real momentum around wanting to have your own business. And Ben and I had thrown around a lot of ideas and tried to get stuff going. But it hadn't really become anything. Mm-hmm. And so just ideas at that point, but nothing where you're kind of like, I'm actually going to put some more effort in here. And Richard and Martin had done, similar work. They were often bought in to support startups to scale their tech infrastructure, and had such good reputations. And so the fact that, everyone was kind of keen to do something, everyone's really impact driven and purpose driven. And it just so happened that there was a real kind of nice crossover of things that we really valued, but also a real difference in discipline. So lots of people were left to just get on with it, or together. Everyone was really contributing something so different.
Right, so everyone had their own sort of lane.
Yeah, but I mean, I was trying to avoid saying that because it's so much of it is crossover.
Yeah.
Because you are all in each other's stuff all the time.
Yeah, but I suppose you need the power of six. It means you can get as much stuff done. You're both working on the same project, right?
Yeah. So there was a lot of collaboration, but there's a real respect of each other and each other's skill sets, I guess, and what everyone brings to the table. But, now, it really taught me the power of teamwork and everything. And you talk about people having great ideas and it not getting off the ground. And I think the first thing I would say is just start talking to people about it. And because people bring their own momentum to something. And if you can't get people excited about your idea, then you're probably not going to get customers excited about your idea. It's actually, it's if people aren't going to work on it and see the power in working on it, and they don't see the value in working on it, then it's going to be a far harder sell to get people. Sometimes it's good that not all ideas come to the light.
Is there anyone else out there that could be listening to this that could have been the seventh founder or the eighth founder? Anyone that you invited in early on and that they weren't into it?
We had so much support and have done. So yes, we're the founding team, but there's been so many people that have contributed, and Sharesies wouldn't be what it is today without them. So definitely there's people that aren't in the photo, that were there and helping us create it.
So did you all have to put in some money initially? How did you get off the ground? On day one.
Yeah, we didn't. We worked on it, and so day one we're doing a little bit of stuff part time. But we did enter an accelerator program. There was one running, and I think Kiwibank and Xero had both sponsored it. So when we said that we had been accepted into this program, they ended up just saying, the program's for 3 months, and how about instead of resigning, you guys, this was Brooke, Leighton and I, how about you guys just take leave, take extended leave. And then if it doesn't work out, you can come back. And
that's so generous.
Which is so generous. It's amazing. It's really, really cool.
Wow.
But it also put a time period. It was this thing needs to show legs in 3 months because that's our decision-making point.
You can't do anything in 3 months.
You
so really,
can.
you?
You can build a whole business. We did.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Just the whole thing. And again, like from the perspective of where we're sitting now, like you can sort of reverse engineer what you've done. But I'm imagining you three sitting in this office room. I just don't know where you even start. You know, the whole thing, it just seems daunting. Like such a daunting, like it's phenomenal. I'm in awe of what you guys have done. It's incredible.
I think it's like, maybe it's called like strategy in action. You just start doing stuff.
Just one foot in front of the other. Yeah,
and then the plan reveals itself.
Yeah, because you before this, you researched harder. You spoke to like thousands of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good idea. There's no doubt about it. But like, was there resistance from, people that had a stranglehold over the sort of like stockbrokers, for example? And
No, because they weren't serving this audience.
yeah, but you think they'd want to protect what they had, but
at that stage, it was like we were serving people who weren't being served.
yeah,
Like that's changing now, but I think people were actually really like had lots of advice for us. People were really open with us. I think they didn't necessarily see us competing with them. Yeah.
Oh, you've done so well. Are you familiar with like Napoleon Hill? No, Napoleon Hill. He's like he was like a finance writer from probably like 100 years ago. His big book's one called Think and Grow Rich. And I wondered if you've heard of him because he's got a thing which he talks about called the Mastermind Group. And it's basically, you know how everyone would say 6 founders is too much? He sort of says the opposite, like get your mastermind group together, which it sounds like you guys have accidentally sort of done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I think it's true for like now maybe like if I think of like something I've changed like through this experience is really like how important it is, how other people are just so important in your life and so impactful, and you go, yeah, it's like there's no way it would be what it is without the team, and also now the team that has grown, and everyone contributes something so hard like to the business, and especially the size it is, you can't be across everything, and so you've got these amazing people with great ideas. There's probably lots of little groups like that throughout the business now, and then there's also people like outside of the business that help me out personally or help the group out. But yeah, I think maybe I thought being independent was really important.
How do you mean?
Just like I always thought that was a value. I do think it's important to be independent, but I think now this whole experience has like crystallized the importance of like sharing an experience with others, and
it's way more fun, isn't it?
So much more fun. And yeah, there's stuff, it's like high trust, really high trust. So like maybe that's it. Maybe like learn to trust other people. But it's so you got to just like go all in. We already are. So it's
yeah, it's the only way. Oh my god. Got to admit, it must have been terrifying early on though.
Yeah.
Was there because you hear about companies? I've just finished reading the audiobook called That Will Never Happen. I think it's called. It's the Netflix story from one of the founders of Netflix. And early on, like they weren't making any money. There was one year they lost like 50 million. Same about Uber. You hear about Uber. I don't think Uber's ever made a profit yet. Were you guys were you making money from day one, or no? Did you lose money in those early years? Or
yep. And still,
like how much? How much are you losing in those early years?
I won't go into specifics, but yeah, you are investing into a future. You're building an asset that you will continue to sell.
But you're doing that because you're confident it's going to work and it's going to
Yeah.
That's such a scary mindset to get into, though, because it sort of goes against everything that you sort of instinctively think, I guess.
Yeah, I think, but it is just about saying that it is and it isn't. I'm trying to think of an analogy, but I don't have one popping into my mind off the bat. But it really is like you're creating something. You've got to invest in it today, and people, we did raise money, and people invested in helping us kind of get that off the ground and build that into something. And then it has allowed us to really build stuff that we wouldn't have. Like otherwise we'd just be waiting, and Whereas we did, create value, and we do, that grows all the time.
You have, in those early years, you have like massive moments of self-doubt, or like that kept you awake at night, or not really?
I can't think of any. There probably is. But I probably get more nervous about like something like this, or like a public speaking thing, than showing up and doing the job. Because you just do it. You just do. Or you work with people.
Amazing. And our obstacles, you just face them as they present themselves.
Yeah.
So how many staff now? How many staff at Shares?
We've got over 160.
Do you know most people's names?
Yep.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you actually?
Yeah.
You don't have your own elevator to the top floor? You got to have your own bathroom, right?
Our elevator's always broken, actually, so you do get lots of time together.
Wow. Yeah, I suppose when it's your day-to-day, you don't sort of think about it. But, do you have moments where you walk in and you look around and you see all the people and think, I've been responsible for creating jobs for this many people, and I've.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I think that's the thing, though,
that's
like,
goosebump
there's
stuff.
lots of, like, what I thought it would be like. And I think maybe it comes back to, like, that thing of going, actually, when you're creating something with people, you get a chance to create it how you want it to be. And yes, there could be, like, what did I think? What did I think it would look like to walk into a business? Like, maybe... like I don't know why, but the Devil Wears Prada. Like walking in, like, did I think that being a boss would be like that? And I'm like,
How good? Is it not like that, briskly walking in while someone's reading your messages and handing you?
I don't know why. That popped into my mind. Maybe it was a meme on my Instagram today or something. But it's like, actually, you get to create. No one tells you what like if you do, like, you just get a chance to really create it how you want it. And I would hope that. Like anyone would describe us as being like really accessible. Like, I feel like we've got really good connections across the business. We are in the business. We work around the place. We get involved with everyone. Like, I don't think that's our style, that type of leadership. And I think it's better for Sharesies. Like, we have context to learn and context to share. And like, I learn a lot from everyone that we work with. Because they see things day to day that I'm just not a part of, and they have different expertise. But at the same time, like, I might have context from where I've hung out for that day that I can then come back in. So I think that, like, it's like we do know everyone's names because I think that's just the style.
Yeah, I'm shocking with names. This would be my worst nightmare,
because
being you.
Because
like, the scary thing for you is, like, it's so many people, and you know that everyone there knows your name.
Sometimes they don't. I think, like, if they're new.
They do. If they don't, they're pretending they don't, surely. But there's so much pressure for you to know their names as well. Otherwise, you seem rude or whatever.
Yeah.
So how does the 3EO thing work? So there's 3 CEOs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does that work in terms of, like, how do you split the you must each have different sort of job descriptions, or?
No. It's less ordered or structured as people might believe it is, and it's probably not a model that could work for everyone or every business. But it is, I think, by the dynamic of how our business was formed and how it came together. It's like we've been working so closely together for so long now, and it was originally, like, Brooke was the original CEO. And that was largely because at the time we needed to be raising capital, and that was largely her responsibility. It was speaking to investors and raising capital for Sharesies, and that naturally fit within the CEO role at that time. And then I think it was after she'd come back from having babies that I think it was like, actually, Leighton and I started, we would run the business while she was on parental leave, and then was like, actually, should we just formalise that it's the 3 of us that are actually sharing the CEO role? And how it works is we have different direct reports, and they're not kind of, what's the word? It's not like one of our, we have specific industries, or, what am I trying to say? It's like it's not like someone has the legal team or the product team or the marketing team. We tried to purposely make it so it's not like you end up owning an area of the business. It's like actually any one of us should be able to have anyone report to us, and it's not about our own like knowledge or stuff like that. It's about just us being able to share leadership across the business. So like at the moment I don't have direct reports because I'm like focused on more project stuff, and I've just come back from Australia. I've spent some time over there building our business over there, and but lots of our decisions are actually made by our leadership team. So we really share lots of context. We get quite engaged to make sure like things are off on the right track and going well. But lots of it is like being a sounding board for the people who are making the decision. And at that point, you don't need us all to agree. We don't all agree. And that would be a nightmare if we had to sit there and like try and agree. And for anyone that knows us, we're like used to be very similar in lots of ways, but we're like also very different. And I think that's like something to be celebrated.
So what happens? Is it like a majority thing or?
No, like I think most of the time we're able to come to some kind of consensus. If we really can't, it's like usually we'll sleep on it if it's an irreversible decision. Or it's like if it needs to be made now, it's like the person who cares the most.
And
kind of default to that. But largely, like I can't think of many times when it's ever come to like a standstill. Usually what happens is you come the next day being so convinced by the person, but they've also come back convinced. So you're now on switch sides, like actually
a bit of give and take and compromise. Yeah, that's cool. So I mean, you guys are disruptors. Like what you've done with the app and you what your business is all about is disrupting, and it makes sense that you've taken that disruption sort of thing into the founder model and now the CEO model. Yeah. It's like you're not following anyone else's path, and I think that's really powerful.
There's lots as well, like when I hear from people that they say like, oh, it's really lonely, like I do think like that's not an emotion I felt in my experience with Sharesies.
Sometimes you want it to be lonely.
Like it's in the name, Yeah. But like I think we've got like so much respect for each other, and I think and a real clear set of values. But yeah, also very different. Like I think we all bring something different to the table, which is lovely as well.
So you own a percentage of the company? Mm-hmm. Do you say how much or no? No. So you own a percentage of the company. So that's you're a very wealthy woman.
On paper. Yeah.
On paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And then you get a salary as the 3EO.
Yeah.
Yeah. How cool.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
It is. I think it's cool. Like talking about that goldfish, and like coming from Levin or things that I didn't know were possible. Like I think just things like, getting exposed, working at Xero early on there and seeing what could be made, like what companies could be built from Wellington. And like that was global it was going global when I started there. And I mean, there's actually so much cool stuff that comes out of New Zealand. And sometimes it's just those things that plant a seed of what's possible. And then,
Yeah, I don't know if this is something you think about. I suspect it's probably not. Where did you go to school? Did you go to Waiapehu or
Horowhenua?
Horowhenua. So you, like right now, there could be some young girls sitting in school, and you've sort of made her realise that even though you're at a high school in Levin, you can do anything.
Yeah.
Like it's like I mean, when you were at school, the most famous thing from Levin was probably RJ's licorice sauce.
Yes, and Carlos Spencer.
Carlos Spencer. Yeah.
And
so it's like...
actually, I turned on the Paralympics last night, and the woman that was on there, one of the equestrians was from Levin, and we went to school together. But there's good people. There is good people who... And I'm pretty sure, like, Michelle Accord. I was speaking...
Oh, yeah, the comedian.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's from Levin. There's because I really try to big up Levin when I'm speaking somewhere because I think it gets such a bad rap.
Who from? Who gives Levin a bad rap?
Is that a joke?
No, I don't think Levin's on anyone's radar. I think Hamilton gets a bad rap.
Yeah.
Levin, no one's even thinking about Levin. I think maybe you're just too sensitive to Levin.
Well, I care deeply about that place. I think it's great.
Yeah, so do I.
But it's nice. I think you got to be exposed. Like I think, it's nice to be exposed to different things and see what's possible.
Yeah.
For sure.
What's been the hardest day at work so far? Has there been like a standout day?
Oh.
You know how people like to, it's a bit of a cliche and it's not true most of the time, but people talk about blood, sweat and tears.
Yeah.
Have there been some days that have just felt impossibly difficult or not really?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like nothing, no one particular one springs to mind. We've definitely had hard times. Like, I mean, the whole COVID situation, that was, really hard and huge as an employer. You kind of,
Oh, yeah.
that really threw up so much about making sure you're looking after people. Yeah, like it really did change the whole work environment. All of a sudden you've got people working from home and you're just trying to support people, but you're not all together. I thought like that time was really interesting. There's been so many challenges and you just, because you go like, there's no training for this, that I think it's the moments maybe that stick out to me are like moments where you're like, oh, I have to make this decision. There's no one else, other than our team. And,
the buck stops with
and
me.
we do have a great board as well that are like really hands-on and involved in the business. So I guess I feel like we've got lots of support, but I think, there's definitely hard moments and hard things.
But you have to grow up pretty quickly. I'm guessing you've had to have some very difficult conversations and, maybe let some people go that you didn't necessarily want to along the way and things like that. And I'm very good at procrastinating big decisions like that in my personal life. I can't imagine, like you're doing things like this on a daily basis.
Yeah.
You just does it get easier? You get better at it? At having tough conversations and making tough decisions?
I think it's like that. I feel like maybe it's a Leighton quote, that like that whole clarity is kindness as well. So it's like if you know something, I think you can. I don't even think of a particular example in my head, but I think it's like just with anything, there can be this situation, but there's always a human across from you, or I think it's just like how you connect with that person or whatever that situation is. There's so many different situations that can show up with.
Yeah.
But I think there's like it should always show respect and the humanity of it, should always come first.
Yeah.
So I think culturally, I think we really lead in that way.
Yeah. Is it a good place to work?
Yeah. Well, we did just win Employer of the Year at the Wellington Gold Awards last week.
Humble brag.
Humble brag.
No, own it. That's really cool. Why did you win?
Because of a lot of our processes and things and how we operate our team. So I think we've got an amazing people experience team, but also everyone at Sharesies contributes to Sharesies being a great place. I think it's definitely and I've worked some great places as well, and I know I'm really biased, but I do think we try really hard at the things that we think really matter, making it being a good place, flexible working, helping people do their best work, working on cool problems, having the tools you need, just all the things that you think.
Yeah, are they sort of the key tenets of Sharesies, you think?
We do have values.
Do you? Do you know what they are off the top of your head?
Of course.
How many are there?
There's 3.
3. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, love 3s.
You don't see a pattern.
One is Chase Remarkable, and that's about setting the new benchmark. It's and we always say the clue is in the word chase. It's not be remarkable. It's not somewhere you get or arrive to. It's a constant thing. You should always feel like the better is just that little bit out of reach and stretch that little bit further. And that's about setting a new benchmark for our customers, for the industry. It's about, we used to, when we were smaller, if we released a new product, we used to count how many people positively remarked on it, because you can takes you nothing, you go through, it's really easy to send a gripe to somewhere and you're really motivated to send a gripe. But to actually go out of your way to send a really positive message,
That's very true.
People just don't do that unless it's been really remarkable. So I think that's something to really cherish. The other one is In It Together, and how we really show the value of the team and work together and have each other's back and things like that. And the other one is Always Care, and that's about caring for each other, yourself, and your customers, but also like caring about the details. It's like showing care in what you do. So those are our three.
Who came up with them? Was it a collaborative?
We all did, actually, the founders, and
This-
then it's
this-
kind of evolved over time, but they're still the same. But
this-
that was when we decided what kind of workplace we wanted to be a part of or be a part of creating, because we've got a really strong why, and we've got our what, and then the how. So we think that can either happen by accident or by design. And
It's funny. It's really got going back to this Netflix book that I was telling you about that I've just
Yeah.
listened to. So one of the two founders of Netflix, he talked about culture at Netflix, and he said it's easy to have like posters on the wall or
Yeah.
slogans on the wall, but it's really got to come from the behaviour of the management and go down. So I suppose if the six of you are coming up with those three rules and you're living by them and following them, then the staff just hopefully follow and take the lead.
and like push it, and like that's the thing that everyone brings something to Sharesies, and I think that's where values are important because they kind of solidify you in what you're trying to achieve, and then people do really rally around those.
And for you personally, career success and financial security, has it changed you? And if so, how?
Has it?
Must have given you more confidence.
Yeah, I think if I maybe always thought and put myself in like an underdog, I think it was like coming from Levin, like I always felt like I didn't quite belong in places, or always felt like, like underdog was probably a word, that I used. And now, like, I think I still carried that feeling for a while, but now, as you say, it's like, that was an important thing to recognise that it is so different. It's like, you're actually different now. And I still kind of struggle connecting with that identity. But I still very, very much like think I'm the same person, but just like different choices that I'm able to make. And I mean, you grow up a lot in those years, don't you? Like, and I learn stuff from everyone around me every day.
What about people around you? Do you think it's changed? Have you noticed a change in people around you?
Not a whole lot.
No.
We love to laugh. We love to work hard and have an impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we go away together once a year, the group and partners and stuff as well. Like
You
do a little
give the
family-
Sharesies private
Yeah.
jet. And
Not at all. And those always just really low key hang. They're still the same hang.
Yeah.
We just love spending time together, and I think it's important too as well. Like once a year, our families and stuff get together and stay connected to what we're creating. And no, I don't think it. It probably has. But
yeah, I suppose you'd only notice that. Do you know the actor Tiffany Haddish?
yeah,
Yeah. So I heard her on a podcast, and she was talking about money. And after she got her first big movie role, one of her old friends came to her and said, "Oh, can I borrow some money?" And Tiffany was thinking it was going to be $50 or $100, like they've always loaned each other. And her friend was like, 12,000. And so Tiffany was stunned, and she loaned her the money. And she said since then she's had a thing with friends, and if they ask her for money, she's like, "Okay, I will lend you the money, but I will say once I lend you the money, our friendship's never going to be the same again. And you have until my next birthday to pay me back. And if that doesn't happen, then we just can't be friends anymore." Wow. So I just think, like, I suppose where I'm going with that is with financial security, it does sometimes change the people around you. And I don't know if it's like a tall poppy thing or an attitudinal thing. I just wondered if you've noticed that at all.
Yeah, no, I haven't. And I mean, I'm someone who like keeps a pretty tight circle. Like,
Yeah.
I don't mostly spend my time with like my family and
So if you go,
still really close to my siblings. We hang out a lot.
but if you all go to O'Malley's for dinner and drinks, do your brothers and sister all like sit there at the end expecting you to get up and pay? Oh,
No,
God.
I think like there's moments that I don't think it's played into it. Like I don't think we've really talked about it. But yeah,
It's cool. It says a lot about your circle.
Again, it's like it's in a company. It's not
Yeah.
in my bank
yeah.
account.
So how old is
It's an
Sharesies now?
asset.
7 years. 7 years.
Yeah.
Okay, 7 years from now, where do you see yourself professionally and personally?
Yeah, 7 years from now. Definitely that we still creating financial empowerment with Sharesies. Would love to see Sharesies continuing to grow and develop what it needs to like really create that financial empowerment for people. Like we do think it's the place that you come to really grow wealth, and that we help people realise that. And we've developed these other products, and it's just about like how do you integrate that more into people's lives and with the people in their lives. So still think there's so much change that needs to happen in the financial services space. But see Sharesies being really big and solving more of those problems for people, continuing to grow into Australia. And then, we have this thing that if we're still, 7 years is a long time away. And if I'm still useful to Sharesies and I'm still enjoying it, then I could be there. I don't have any desire to like leave it at this point. But again, like businesses change so much and just might not be a fit at some point. So I'm like open to that too.
You're still very young, eh? I had Anna Mowbray on the podcast a few weeks ago. So she sort of talked about Zuru as being a mountain that she climbed, and she wants to climb more mountains. That's the analogy she uses. But for you, it's just Sharesies right now.
Yeah, I think there's definitely like other things. Yeah, what is it? There was definitely a point where I felt like it was a big part of my identity, and I think that was healthy to remove myself and try to, separate that a bit and see, develop who you are in the world and outside of it always being like tied up into one thing, because it's all of our thing and it's also lots of other people's thing now too. And I heard someone describe riding the highs and lows, like if you connect yourself so tightly to something that you will then feel those highs and lows, but you don't always have control over those. So, what is that? I love making cool stuff that has an impact with cool people,
I like that.
And
that's
I just
so cool.
like that just guides, if I think like that's, I'm not actually, I'm complicated as we all are, but like, if I sum it up, like what do I love and what do I get a kick out of, like professionally, it's that. And those are the ingredients. And so if those are there, then those are there. And then personally, I love to laugh, and I have like I notice that every day. I'm not laughing enough today.
You do have I've listened to just about every podcast you've been on in anticipation for this. You do have a real easy laugh. And it's really cool. Yeah, it's been kind of serious today. I think that's good though. It's been really interesting to pick your brains.
Yeah.
Has it been too serious? Have we been too serious?
It's been quite serious.
Yeah.
I thought you might have,
we want more laughs.
I thought you might have asked me about running.
We were going to go for a run. When was it? Last weekend.
Yeah.
Last weekend, but something came up. Yeah. You're back running again.
Yes. Well, I've never really run, and I think this is, being here today, or like being asked to come on, it's huge because I have followed the podcast. Long time listener, first time caller, but have listened to the podcast from the earliest day. Like I remember listening to the hype episode, which was like a minute long, where you were just like hyping what the podcast was going to be about.
God, how do you have time? Like the last 3 years I've been doing this podcast, like you've been running this big business, you've dealt with fertility stuff, you've had a baby. How do you have time to listen to like junky podcasts like this?
It's not junky. It's amazing. And I did think it was a real catalyst for like helping me like start running, because I've never been a runner. Like I'll give it a spurt. Like I'll give like maybe 2 or 3 months and then I fall off the wagon. But there was this whole thing about, because it was called Runners Only. And I was just like, look, I'm going to put this on and go for a run every time it's on. And I did. And then I got so into it. And I think like what happened is like, because I was listening to this thing that was about runners and for runners, I like took that identity. Whereas like before I never really, I thought I had to like, a runner was a thing that you were. And it was like, well, I'm not that yet. And I never kind of put in the work to get it. But I think you've even shared the line, like, if you run, you're a runner, or...
Absolutely. Yeah. I hate that people say, oh, I'm not a runner like you, or I'm not this. It's not about speed. It's not about distance. It's not about anything.
Yeah. And so I like kept at it largely because I just felt like I was in this community of runners. But it was just like listening to your podcast and then listening to people talk about running. And I got way more into running. And, you know, the podcast has changed so much now. But it's like, it's so unique in that the stories that you tell of people and, you know, I like, it feels like a real honour to be here because I know the people you interview, I know the stories that you tell, you know, it's like, it's really special. And I think, like one, you know, like I think I say, like I try really hard, or I'm a bit of a try hard. I tried to like reclaim that word.
Yeah, it gets a bad rap. Hey, it does get a bad rap.
Because I had to give a talk back in Levin and I was like really nervous about it. And I was like, why are you nervous? And I was like, it's because I think someone's going to stand up and say, oh, you try hard. And then I was like, you know, because you play your fears out. And I was like, hey, that wouldn't even be that bad. It's like, what does that even mean? Like you try hard. It's like, I actually love that.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
And I think in a space like the people you profile and the way that you profile them, I think it's celebrating a success in a way that was celebrating life and stories of New Zealanders in a really proud way.
Yeah.
And I think that's really special.
Well, I'm so proud of you, and not just because we're family, and but yeah, I mean you're just a great New Zealander, and you've done really well. Part of the aspect of your story that I love is the fact that you're from this small shitty little town in New Zealand, and you've done this amazing thing.
It's great. Levin's actually great.
God, do you want to be
Bad
like
reputation.
do you want to get into politics and be like the Horowhenua like rep or something, or the mayor? Is that what you're angling for? Post
I just
Cheersies?
think like I don't know. It's a bit like it's just a really I think places. Yeah, it's just nice to feel positive about where you're from.
Oh no, I feel yeah.
You're from Palmy, yeah?
I was born in Levin, and we moved to Hastings and then to Palmy North. But I've got a massive connection to Levin, like at Nana and Granddad's place. You know, your dad's parents and my mum's parents. We had Christmas Day there, and I used to get so excited about it because there'd be like, God, I don't know, maybe 50 cousins running around.
Yeah,
like it was just a massive event. It was so cool.
it's true. Yeah,
So cool. Yeah. Oh, back to the running thing. Like the one big thing that I get out of it, and I say this to other people, like just the mental clarity and the mental health benefits. Is that a big thing for you? Like
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's a real mood changer in so many ways, and I think it's like something like this is the longest stint I've ever stuck with running, and I reckon it's like a huge part to do with the podcast because it like taught me to make it social, or it made me realize like connecting in with something was what like claiming the identity, and we do that like with Sharesies as well. It's like if you invest, you're an investor, you know, like claim it, like that's all part of what helps stick you in, you know, keep you at it, because this beginning of anything is always really hard. And like running, it doesn't actually get easier, I've now learned.
It doesn't.
No.
But you just adapt and you have an ability to do more.
Yeah. But it's always like challenging in some way. And like you might feel different and like things that might have like, it's always a challenge. And I think there's something nice about, I think it's just so great. You get to get out, see different things. Now it's like a social thing for me. I get to catch up with people. And yeah, like I reached out to you and your mum because it was like, in Auckland, know you guys are runners. You know, it's like a nice way to connect with people and go, actually.
Yeah, it's really social. And you don't have to, you can go slowly so it's a conversational pace and turn it into a social thing.
Yeah.
Do you, when you go, hey, by the way, it's worth pointing out, we just teed up this podcast chat through DMs on Instagram. You didn't make me go, have you got a PA? Or an assistant?
I do have some help,
Wow. I didn't have to go through your assistant or anything. If I was you, I would have like put me onto the assistant. That would have been a flex. You're so humble.
Well, we're family and...
But what a power play.
And as I say, like I'm like genuinely love the podcast, so I think like it feels really cool to be here. And I think the running thing, one other thing I'll say about it is it's like so much of life is hard and you don't choose it to be hard. Like unexpectedly hard stuff just pops up all the time. And then it's kind of nice, like what I find with running is because I do find it hard. It's like it's nice to choose to do something that's hard and then you get used to dealing with hard things. So then when they pop up randomly, you're actually more equipped to deal with it.
100%. 100%. Yeah, there's a slogan I really like. It says, it goes something like hard choice, easy life, easy choice, hard life. Yeah, and running definitely fits into that category. I've got a couple of, I was going to say like sort of easy questions to finish with, but maybe they not be. They may not be easy. Are you proud of yourself?
Yep.
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 Yeah, you should be. I like asking that one because, yeah, a lot of people find it a real challenge. New Zealanders, I think, in particular, find it a difficult question to answer because it almost seems like it comes with a bit of, I don't know, like stigma or embarrassment to say you're proud of yourself.
Yeah, I do think, like, because as I said, I've just, like, come back from Australia, and one thing I did notice while I was over there is, like, that Kiwis do have some real baggage associated with success or something good happening to you. Like, I think we have a real strong, like, the success we really celebrate or the good things we really celebrate is where we see that someone's put in lots of work, or we really love those ones. But it's like, if something happens to someone and it's just like an easy win, we don't tend to celebrate that as much. Whereas it's like, it's the same, you know, like, I don't know why, but it's like, I think we really glamorize the hard path to being happy or being successful or being all those things. And so I do, like, there is a complex relationship there. But I think at the end of the day, do I act in a way and show up for the people in my life how I want to? Yeah. I try really hard to do that, and I'm really proud of that.
Have you encountered much in the way of like tall poppy syndrome?
I don't know, not really.
No.
I think in little ways probably, like, but not an event that sticks out.
Yeah.
Maybe more in myself or something like that.
Yeah. What would you say your best and worst habits are? Well, if Ben was here, what would he say?
Best and worst habits. Best and worst. Best is that I do laugh a lot, and I like to laugh, and I reckon a habit of laughing is good.
Laugh, it is great, and it makes the person you're talking to, it makes them feel great, and it's good. Laughing's powerful.
I like to, I just get a kick out of it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a habit I try to keep at. Worst habits? I don't know. Ben would probably say heaps of stuff.
What would he say? Like, are you too hard on yourself at times?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, probably.
Okay, well, that's a bad habit.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I don't know. I suppose it's like a double-edged sword in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what about your inner voice? Is your inner voice quite nice?
No, I'd say it's ways negative.
Fuck the amount of people I've had on the podcast that say that, like real high performance people, like Michaela Blyde from the Sevens,
I was really
Lisa
surprised by
Carrington,
that as well.
Mealy Kerr.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you catch yourself when you're not being kind to yourself, and you're good at redirecting it.
Yeah. I try to. Yeah, but it's like I think like anything, it's a constant work on. And I think and I think it is for everyone. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about mistakes or regrets?
Nothing springs to mind.
That's great.
Yeah, I tend to have a no regrets policy. I like it's
No
just
regrets.
Like it's just like a. I think like it always feels shitty to do something that feels like it clashes with your values or something. So now if I'm ever on the fence about something, I'm like, what would you do? You know. Because you can get caught up in the shoulds or the this and the that, and you're like, actually, what would make me feel really proud to look at myself in the eyes at the end of the day? And I tend to just make those decisions more often.
Yeah. Do you have any like pillars when it comes to values, or is it just be a good person?
I think integrity, like doing your actions and your behaviour, you know, what you say and your behaviours should try and match up as much as possible. And then I think fun is a real value. And try to like look for the good or the joy or the lightheartedness, and then like working with others, teamwork, being a good person and other people, you know, with other people. What else? Oh, like trying hard. You can't really ever pick the outcome. You're not always in control of that. But I think like I like to, when I show up, try to give it my all. Like I feel like I do really try hard,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, no, I say to people, like if you try hard, like if you legitimately try your hardest at anything, you may not always win or be the best, but you will be surprised at how far it takes you.
Yeah.
You will be like really surprised. Do you think that they're really good values? Does that were you guys were you religious? We're
No.
a very religious family. Were
Very
you?
religious family.
Eh?
We weren't raised religious.
Did you not go to church every Sunday?
No.
No.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
But did you?
Yeah, until I was
Yeah.
old enough to make my own decisions. But I look back now, and it's I describe myself as atheist now, but the like the Catholic values, for the most part, they're pretty good sort of values or cornerstones to have. But I think you can have those without being necessarily affiliated to a certain religion.
Yeah. I think what did I read or I listened to a podcast. It was a guy talking about happiness. It was on like one of Oprah's ones. I think she's written a book with him or something. And it was like, what are the keys to happiness? Always love reading something like that, eh?
Who's it, like Jay Shetty or someone?
But one of them was like about being around things that make you feel small. Like, and that's where like, say religion, or for some people it's like for me it's like nature or being part of something that's bigger than you, and helping yourself like see that. And I think that is really important. Like that's not religion for me, but personally, but that's like I like being in awe of something or feeling part of something bigger. I think that's a really like something that just grounds you a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And last one? What would your definition of success be?
I think having a positive impact, and that can be like in the small or in the big. Like I am aware, like through Sharesies, we have been able to impact people in a really big way at a really like, and if we keep at it and keep doing more around that, like that can be something that could change people intergenerationally, you know, like changing the way people feel about money, people feel about wealth, the choices they can make. That's huge. And if that I get to do that through this channel, like that's amazing. And that's really cool. That would be successful for me. But at the same time, it can be in the small things. Like as I said, like just want to be a good sort to the people in my life, to show up for my friends, for my family, to try really hard at what I do. I think it can also be the success in the act of it, not just the outcome of it. I think on your Lisa Carrington one podcast, she talked about it needs to be about more than the medal. And I think you got to, like, well, for me personally, I need to decouple my personal success from an outcome. Although I am, like, people that know me really, I'm really competitive. I'm really, like, aspirational. Like, I'm all those things.
Yeah. Well, no,
But at the same time.
Yeah. To be fair, like, you don't, like, create what you've been a part of creating and have the success you've had without being competitive and driven and hardworking and all those things. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah. And, like, my mum, you know, she has been a huge influence on my life, and she, you know, really taught me about, like, growth mind. She coached me, like, from such a young age. It was always, like, can't do was made to do. You know, like, she's played a huge role in, you know, helping me the way you know, like, so I think that's also part of it. It's like, it's just also recognising yourself, like, the bits of other people in you, and, like, that is, I think that's really nice too.
Yeah, I actually heard you say that in another podcast, talking about Auntie Jenny, saying you thought it was her quote, but it was a Henry Ford one. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right. But that's, I suppose, she was your mum, but she was my auntie, so I never experienced the quotes lady growing up. She was just the most kind and lovely auntie you could ever hope to have.
And she, like, coached all my sport, you know, all right through, and, like, now I often think, like, that's the voice, and even just, like, the voice of where your brain goes. It's like, I realise now, like, it's so powerful to go, like, if you're in a hard situation, it's not that you're not going to get out of it, it's just that you haven't found the right path yet out. And I think that's a different, you know, it's like, it's nice to know, and I reckon, like, she just taught me so much of that, of how to, like, I'm so grateful for that, and I think it's, you know, hugely shaping. Just going, like, there's a way through here, or
Yeah, God, they must be so proud. I'm so proud. I think the last time I saw you was probably at Nana's funeral, and that was pre-Sharesies.
Yeah.
That's annoying, eh? People like Nana, who she was a huge influence in our lives. She never got to see any of this.
Yeah, I think, I mean, for family and like coming from such a big family, it's like there's a real legacy in that though, eh? Like I do think it's not always like I'm a big fan of the musical Hamilton and love musicals.
Not the town.
Not the, I do love the town too. Rep all the towns that get a handful. Have you been to the Hamilton Gardens?
Yeah, that's wonderful. The big giant door. What is that? Great for Instagram.
I'm the ambassador for towns that get a really bad rap.
Tokoroa, Sonia's coming for you.
But there's this nice line that legacy is planting seeds in a garden you won't get to see. And I think of that, I think that's quite, that's what that question triggered in me. It's like, it's not often, you don't always have to be around to experience it, but it's like your legacy is felt in all the things that you create while you're here.
Geez, you're wise, aren't you? So wise.
Well, that was from Hamilton,
Yeah.
the musical. So, like, that wasn't me.
Okay, yeah. You're not claiming it. Like your mum with the Henry Ford quotes.
This is it,
Yeah.
I think I like to seek I listen to the podcast, I listen to lots of, I think I like to soak up as much wisdom from others as well. Yeah.
Hey, well, thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's really, really cool to reconnect. It's been bloody great. Before we finish, is there anything that we haven't touched upon that you wanted to touch upon?
Oh.
Did we miss anything?
I mean, I feel like we've gone all around the place. Yeah. Nothing springs to mind.
Well, there's always a part two. There's always a part two. Sonia Williams, co-founder of Sharesies and 3EO of Sharesies, and my cousin. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.